So I'm Jayesh. I'm in my current third year at IIT Bhubaneswar, and I'm actually pursuing a major in electronics and communication. But I have a lot of interest in cloud computing and other technologies. So I've also taken up an ambassador position with Microsoft, Master Learn Student Ambassadors. So what we do is we look at Microsoft technologies, we practice different modules on Microsoft Learn, and when we are comfortable with technologies, we host sessions or attend conferences where we talk about all the technologies. So what I do is I usually try out new technologies like Dapper or maybe Kubeflow, and then I prepare presentations and I run demos to help other people learn as well from them. So my entire motive is to help you explore new avenues so that you can go ahead and check those out on yourself and do some experiments and get back to me if you have any questions or not. I also write some blogs and make YouTube videos on different systems that I built. And any project that I continue to work on, I make some short videos on how I'm approaching it, what the problem is, and how I go about solving all of those. So do check out my channel as well. So that is a very short introduction about myself. Now I'll be talking today on Kubeflow. Now Kubeflow is a you can call it a framework for different machine learning on Kubernetes. So we're looking at why Kubeflow is important and how you're going to use it in your cluster. So I'll just switch to my screen if that's not a problem. Just let me check. Yeah. Is my screen visible?
Yes, Dash, it's live. Dash, your
I
screen is
hope you
live.
can see my screens now.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, sure. So I'll go ahead. So we're talking about what Kubeflow is and where you can use this application in your any project that you build and what different components are. And we also see a live demo, not a live demo. I've recorded it earlier because I ran out of all credits in Azure, but I do have a demo ready for all of you. I will be looking at the code and how we can build pipelines and stuff. So let's just go ahead. So machine learning, as we know, has different stages. So there's the stage which deals with the data, where you pre-process the data, you validate, you transform, you perform splitting and other different actions on your data. After that, when the data is ready, you perform training on it. You choose algorithms, you define parameters, and then you go ahead with the training of your model on the data. After that is done, you usually roll out and serve the model as an endpoint or to any of your APIs or any application that you build. And after it is already deployed, you have task of monitoring and checking whether it's performing as you expect it to perform, right? So these are all the machine learning stages. So whenever you're building an application in ML, these are the steps you go through. So how do you take this entire problem and develop something which can help you go through it really fast in a composable manner? So that is where Kubeflow comes into the picture. So we all are very familiar with how Kubernetes allows you to scale your applications and make applications really portable. Now, the problem is taking machine learning and deploying it on Kubernetes. Now, thinking about it, only people who have very specialized knowledge in Kubernetes will be able to use Kubernetes in such a way that you can create your different experiments or runs or machine learning runs on your Kubernetes. So Kubeflow wants to change that. It wants to make it really easy for everybody to deploy it. So you don't have to know a lot of how pods work or how do you schedule different runs and other things. You just need to have access to very common Kubeflow components, and those will help you in deploying your machine learning models. So why should we use Kubeflow in the first place? So as you already know about portability and scalability, that you can basically take your model anywhere and run any orchestration platform, and also it's very scalable. Apart from that, Kubeflow is composable. What composability is, we'll also be talking about it in later slides, but I'll just give you a heads up. It already has a lot of pre-built components which you can use. You don't have to write everything from scratch, and moreover, you can take different elements and then combine them in any way that you like. So there is no fixed way of executing things. You have a lot of options at your table, and then you can choose from different frameworks and different ways of executing, and which you can want to train your model. Yeah, so what's in the box? What does Kubeflow offer? So Kubeflow has all of these different components which I talked about. So Jupyter Hub is like a notebook server on Kubeflow. So you don't have to deploy a notebook server somewhere else. You have it inside Kubeflow itself. So Kubeflow has a Jupyter notebook inside it. It has a training controller. So controllers are, you're referring to the Kubernetes controllers. For example, if you have deployment and pods and all these things. So it has a custom controller as well for TensorFlow training, and also for other different frameworks as well. For example, XGBoost and all the major frameworks that you can think of, PyTorch, all of them have different controllers custom built for Kubeflow. You also have a serving deployment, so it helps you to serve your model once it's done training and all the stuff. You have Argo for workflows. So if you're familiar with Argo, it's an open source project where you have it's basically used for defining a workflow. And in Argo, all the steps of a workflow are containers itself. So every step will be a container executing on its own. So in this way, Argo is really flexible, and you can the workflows built in workflows built in Argo can be done on all clusters and across different nodes. This is why Argo is really scalable and helps it. So the Kubeflow pipelines are built on top of Argo, and there are a lot of other components which we'll just be going over them in a short while. So yeah, the earlier diagram which we saw about machine learning stages, the ones which have been highlighted here are those which Kubeflow can solve for you. So Kubeflow can allow you to train a model, build a model, validate it, and train it on scale as well. If you want to scale your model across a lot of nodes, for example, if you are building a really complicated model and you want multiple machines running it parallelly and communicating with each other, Kubeflow can handle that as well with its own controllers. And then it also handles serving as well. So once you're done training, you can make use of different components inside Kubeflow which allow you to serve. So that is it. Now, this is the different ways in which Kubeflow is being used currently. This is from a Medium post done by the Kubeflow community. So as you can see, ML pipelines are the most used features. Then there are notebooks, model serving, and distributed training. So all of these top four things we'll be discussing in today's presentation as we go forward. So yeah, so as I talked, that Kubeflow is composable. So what I really meant about that is, for example, if you have to train your model, so you have a large number of options that you can choose from. So the first thing is you can perform distributed training with TF jobs. I'll be talking about TF jobs in the next slide. So TF jobs are the custom resource definitions. They are different controllers built by Kubeflow. And using this, you can train some to TensorFlow jobs, right? So you can perform the distributed training using TF jobs where you can define, say, for example, you want these many nodes and these many workers, and you can submit jobs to this particular resource. Apart from that, if you want, you can run pipelines. For example, you have different steps. For example, if you have to define a model in first place, in the second step to register the model, third step deploying the model. So if you have a pipeline in mind, you can also use Kubeflow pipelines to design your workflow. And you can use regular containers. Regular containers are those containers which have the built-in controllers by Kubernetes. For example, pods. So regular pods you can use in as steps inside your pipeline, or you can also insert the TF job controllers inside the steps of your pipeline. So the pipeline does not need to have just regular containers as in Argo. You can also use TF jobs inside of a pipeline. So there are multiple ways in which different services are intertwined with each other, and you can explore depending on how your use case is. Similarly, with serving, you also have multiple choices. So either you can use KF serving. Now, KF serving, it's like a high level abstraction interface for all the different common frameworks, for example, TensorFlow, XGBoost, PyTorch. So it combines all of these together with KF serving. Or if you don't want to use Kubeflow service, you can also use Azure Machine Learning Service or any other framework that you are going to use. In this demo, we'll be going to use the Azure ML service. So we'll create a machine learning workspace on Azure portal, and then we're going to register our model with the Azure Machine Learning Service. So once it is registered there, you can perform operations like deploying it, looking for different metrics, or you can get an endpoint for calculating the score of a machine learning model. So there are also multiple steps in which you can serve your model. So this is what is meant by Kubeflow being composable. So you have a lot of choice and options here. Now, this is a high-level architecture of Kubeflow as we talked about. So you can see in the top there are libraries. So Kubeflow control is used to deploy a Kubeflow into your cluster. Kubecontrol is already familiar with that. Fairing, we're not going to talk about it in this presentation, but it's also one of the components, and you can check it out in your Kubeflow docs. In the systems part, you can see there are a lot of different services available. The first is Katib. It is used for hyperparameter tuning. For example, if you have a model and you want to tune hyperparameters, so what Katib does is it allows you to run it allows you to do multiple parallel jobs, and then you can tune your parameters differently in all of these jobs, and it selects the best one for you automatically. So that is what Katib does on a whole. The pipelines are those which we're going to discuss, and we're going to see them in action. So pipelines allow you to use different steps in a composable manner, and then you can reuse all of these pipelines again and again. So you don't have to compose a pipeline again and again. You can just define one and run it anywhere, every time. Apart from that, there's also notebooks where you can put your code in there. You can run it there itself. So you don't need any other server for notebooks as well. Then there are low-level APIs which are single function APIs, which are do most of the work. For example, TF-job, which I talked about already. PyTorch job, as I mentioned, you can use any library you want. So you don't have to go with TensorFlow. You can choose PyTorch, or you can use XGBoost, any other different resources you want. So all of those have some resource defined inside of Kubeflow, which you can use. So this is, I hope this is clear about the entire architecture of Kubeflow, what it does. Now we'll get to TF-job. Like, what is TF-job? So you can think of TF-job as being similar to a pod, but in that case, pods and deployments, those are inbuilt controllers by Kubernetes. TF-job is a custom resource defined by Kubeflow for Kubernetes, where you have these particular options more available. For example, you can define a chief. So you can define what the chief will be. The chief is used for orchestrating the different training and performing tasks like selecting checkpoints for a model, something like that. You can also have a parameter server. The parameter server will be responsible for coordinating the events between different worker nodes. For example, if you want to share some information between different worker pods, you can use the parameter server for defining, for example, the common information. The worker pods will be those which perform the training of the actual training of the model, and the evaluator can be used to evaluate or compute your score for any model that you build. So TF-job is an entire definition. We'll be looking at the YAML file here. So this is how it looks. In terms of comparing it with pods, in pods would have defined containers right away, but in this case you can have different what do you call it, different parameters where you can specify either if you want a parameter server or you want a worker pod specification. You can also add the chief and other things we discussed in this case as well. And so we look at the worker part. So the worker will have three replicas. I defined it to have three replicas. And then you can specify this what containers it will be running. It will be running a TensorFlow container with a particular image. Like, this is the name of the image which you can use, and the command which you want to run on it. So I'm running Python Trinita, something like that. So just a very what do you call it? An idea of how a TF-job YAML looks like. This is a parameter server, worker specification, the image with your code, and the commands in which you can begin your training process. This is how a TF-job YAML looks like. Then comes the Kubeflow pipelines. So pipelines is the entire offering by Kubeflow. It has a UI which we'll be looking at. So entire user interface for managing your pipelines, checking what steps are running currently and what are the different parameters corresponding to each step. Apart from that, it also has an engine for scheduling different workflows. And then there's an SDK. This is an SDK in Python when you can actually define your pipeline, like what all the different steps will be, what will be the inputs, what will be the outputs, and how long it runs, what are different replicas and all these things. We're looking at the code right now. And apart from that, it also has connections to the notebook. So this is what a pipeline definitely looks like. So it has input parameters, it has output parameters, and it is also has a Python. Most of these things are already covered. So I'll just go really fast so then we can get to the demo part of it. Now this is the entire idea. So first we have a Python file with the code. For example, if you have a training code here or maybe other pre-processing code. So you have some Python file here. You create an image out of it. You build a container on top of the file. And then you use the Python, the DSL library, which is provided by Kubeflow. It is used for building the pipelines. So you can provide annotations like kfp.dsl.component to define a particular component, or container operation define a container step. So you define a container step using the container image that you built. And then you can incorporate all of these different container ops, like container ops will be a particular step. So you can combine multiple container operations into a single pipeline using the kfp.dsl pipeline. We're looking at the code to understand much better. So this is how you build a pipeline, and then you can run the pipeline inside the pipeline server. So I'll just go over to my code file to show you what exactly is meant by all of that. So if you look at the code here, you can see there's 4 different parts: training, pre-processing, training, register, and deploy. So in pre-processing, all of these are just regular Python files which we have here. So in pre-processing, we'll be looking at different data operations that you have inside pre-processing, like processing image, walking images, all this stuff. And then you have a Docker file which builds an image specific to the pre-processing software. For example, if you have inside pre-processing, we'll be copying the particular data file inside the container and we'll be running the file. That is the idea behind the pre-processing part. Then you have the training part where you can go. If you look at the training file, you have the application of Keras here. So you can define a model here. You can select parameters, different parameters, and you can actually train your model inside this. So it's just a Python file. You can either write it on your local editor, or you can choose a Jupyter notebook inside Kubeflow to do any of these tasks. So the idea is to split your entire machine learning application into different parts. So training, register, deploy, will creating different images for each of them. And we're going to push all these images to the Azure Container Registry so that Kubeflow can then pull those images when it's running its pipeline. So when a pipeline is run, it takes images from the container registry corresponding to every step. So for example, if I'm in the pre-processing step, I'll be pulling the pre-processing image, the image I built here, and I'll be running this particular script inside of it. So that will be how the first step will be run. And then the output will be stored at a common bucket or some other place, and the next step will be run. That is the training part. So the training step will pull its own Docker image, which is built on this particular Docker file. And this will be running the train.py file that you created inside of training. And similarly, you have register and deploy. So register and deploy have the task of registering your model with Azure Machine Learning Service. For example, if you have a machine learning workspace created on Azure portal, you can register the model that you have built to the workspace so that you can look at logs, you can monitor how the different parameters of your model are. And then you can also deploy using the machine learning workspace. So deploying will allow you to create endpoints for scoring, right? So this is how you register different part, and this is deploying part. So I'll just go over. So first we'll have to create a cluster on Azure, install Kubeflow on there, and then we have to set up a port forwarding because Kubeflow has its own dashboard which you can view, but it's on the cluster. So if you have to access it from your local machine, you have to set up a port forwarding from your own machine. So those tests I can't do it right now because my credits are off, but I've recorded all of that, so I'll be showing you that now. So we'll be looking at the Kubeflow dashboard and see the different steps which you can perform there. Let's go to the again to the this is about yeah. Just give me a second. Yeah, so this is the Kubeflow dashboard that you see when you start a port forwarding. So this is a welcome screen. Then you have to start your setup, and basically it is available at 8080 port of your local host when you set up the port forwarding. So you can go ahead and define a namespace for your Kubeflow applications. So I'll just use the AKD demo as you're doing it here. Now this is how the dashboard looks like when you open it. So there's the pipeline option, notebook server, Cative, all the different parts here. So if I want to create a notebook server, I'll just go over to the notebook servers tab, and then I'll create a new server here. It's pretty simple. The entire UI makes it really possible for you to deploy it really quickly. So I'll be deploying my notebook, which will be called AKD notebook right now. You can set a custom image if you want, if you have an own image with your own dependencies installed in your Python. So you can use a custom image, or you can use any of the traditional images. You can select GPUs if you want your training to be done on GPU, and their data volumes to be attached. We won't be using persistent storage because it will require creating other resources as well. So just for the purpose, we can click on launch and it will start up the notebook server. It usually takes a lot of time to spin up servers and also consumes a lot of resources. So we'll look at pipelines meanwhile. So when you click on the pipelines tab, you'll see, it'll load a bit, just takes a time. There are some of the tutorial pipelines already built for you, and you can also create a new pipeline by clicking on the upload button. So when you click on the upload button, you'll see you have to specify a pipeline name, and you also have to upload a pipeline file, right? So what is this file that you're talking about? So we'll be looking at, just give me a second, I'll just show you what the pipeline file is. So this is the pipeline file which you have. Now take a look at how I defined the pipeline file. I've used annotations from DSL. So this is how you specify that this particular function is the pipeline, DSL.pipeline. Inside the pipeline, I have the different steps. Different steps have been defined as container operations. So this particular thing is a particular operation. So this is a pre-processing step. This is the first step which happens. You define it using container op. Then these are the parameters that you can specify on your own. Like it doesn't have to be according to a particular script. So you have to name the container operation. You have to use the image for this particular container. What command are you going to run inside this container and the arguments for the container, right? And then there's a second step for training. Then similarly, we have different steps. So this is how you define an entire pipeline here using container ops and their annotation. So this is, and when you're done writing a pipeline code, you can then compile it using Python command, and then you'll have something like this, a zip file here. So I'll be using this zip file for uploading it to my Kubeflow. So let me just go over to yeah, this is the place where I'm selecting. I'll see me a second. Sorry. Yep. Yeah. So this is just filling all the different metadata, and then we can go ahead and upload the file which I showed you, the zip file. So there it is. And once you are done uploading it, you can then click on create. So this will create your pipeline. Once your pipeline is done creating, you can see a graph for the different steps. Like the first is the pre-processing, second is training. So what Kubeflow does is it takes that Python code that we had on pipeline and convert it into different steps using Argo. So they have already have, you can, if you click on any of the step, you can see the argument that is defined there. Like whatever command that we're going to run, the image it's going to run on. I don't have any image right now because it'll take a lot of space. So I'm just keeping regular placeholder values there. Now you can go ahead and click and create an experiment for the pipeline that you have. So you can create an experiment and specify the name of the experiment, description, and stuff like that. So once an experiment is done, you can start a run. Like you can create a particular run of a pipeline. So this is how you can make sure you can run this pipeline again and again. So already you have a pipeline defined. You can run anytime you want across any nodes that you wish to run it. So I'll just click on the pipeline that I want to run, which is the pipeline which I just created now. And then we can look at, these are the parameters that I want to focus at. Like what are these parameters? Like tenant ID, we have, where are these things defined? So you can go back to the code inside my Visual Studio and you can see that the pipeline that we defined, we use these particular parameters inside the function definition. So these are the parameters which you're going to use across what you call an entire application. For example, if I am running a particular, say, registering my model or deploying a model, these are the parameters which I'm going to use. So I'll be taking those parameters before I start the run. So whatever the parameters that you define up there will be available at the start of your pipeline. So if you look at the register file here, so register will also be using tenant ID, subscription ID, all of these things for registering a model with the Azure Workspace. So this is where you use all of these parameters. So you have to first make sure you list out all the parameters that will be helpful inside the application, and then make sure that the people who are running the pipeline will be providing all of these parameters when they start a new pipeline. Right? And similarly, you can also look at deploy script. Deploy script also uses all of these parameters for deploying a model to Azure Machine Learning using this command, Azure ML model deploy. So this is how you make sure that all the parameters are there in place and there is like no null values in this case. So we'll go back now to the, yep, just give a second. Yeah, so I'll be just filling the different parts. I think I'm running out of time, I guess. Yep. So I'll just go over quickly about different filings. So I'm just going over to my Azure workspace and looking at the application ID, tenant ID. I'm just taking these values from there and putting it in my workflow. Yeah. Yeah. I'll be showing you the machine learning workspace here now. That'll be important. So you have to have a machine learning workspace when you want to deploy your app through machine learning, Azure machine learning. So I'll just go over to resource that I created, which is called CubeSpace. Now, this is the place where you can register your model. You can, I'll be launching the studio to allow you to see it better. The studio has a lot of places. It has its own offerings of notebooks. It has its own pipelines and stuff. And if you look at the left side, you can see the models. So this is where your models will be once you deploy it on Azure Machine Learning. And the endpoints, now this is the point where after you deploy the models, all the different endpoints will be available here. For example, if you want to test your application, test your model right away, you can click on the endpoints tab and choose whatever model that you have. So I'll just add the CubeSpace name of the workspace here, and I click on start. So this will start my pipeline run. If I click on the first run, I'll look at the different steps that are in process right now. So just give it a second and it'll show you. And this is the first step, it's currently running. And you click on it, you can have information about all the different, like the pod information, like what pod is going to run this particular step. When I click on it, you'll have the improper parameters. You can also have the visualizations if you have some other plugin that you have. So you can put it in here and look at how your pipeline is actually running in real time. And moreover, if you click on the pod, you will see what pod exactly is running your this particular step. So if you want to debug it, you can later on take this name of the pod and check the logs of this particular pod and see if everything is going as you wish it to. This is the entire demo for Kubeflow, and I hope you understand how pipelines and stuff works. That is the end of my presentation for now.